remember I walked up into St James's and my hands, everything, my whole body just lit up. I've got goosebumps all over my skin.
I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, find a rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich.
Here we go. Look, people, we've already been at it in the chat before we even went live. So I think we're all ready to go, which is why the boys are in the panel. Welcome to Loading Mag NUFC. The fight for Europe is most definitely on.
Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? I'm like that parent who's stuck with 100 kids at a birthday party saying, why am I here?
As you can see, we've got our guest and panel here. All very happy to be here, as you can tell. But we're going to get down to it. Look, boys, Daz, Chris, from a Loaded perspective, how are you boys?
Jeez, I'm great compared to Dan. I'm absolutely great. In comparison, my legs and hands could be falling off. I'd still be better than Dan, I think, at this point in time. But all good to me, Pete. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, long day in work. Me and Dave were feeling sorry for ourselves before. Long day in work, but yeah, really been looking forward to the show tonight, particularly to hear off Dan. Yeah, I'm all good. Pete, how are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good. And look, even better to have a fantastic panel below us on the screen. Of course, we've got Big Dave, West Ham fan, back in the building. How you doing, fella?
Oh, good, mate. You?
Not too bad. We've got a new panel guest tonight. We've got Goonie from Man Knows Football, Chelsea fan repping. How you doing, fella?
All good, man. Thank you for inviting me on your channel. I know we've collaborated before. I very much enjoyed talking football with you, so it feels good to be here. Big up everyone in the chat. Smash that like button, subscribe button. It's all free. Just do it.
Top man. And of course, the very happy, smiley Dan United from United First. Look, you look so happy to be here. So happy.
I'm not even joking, mate. I actually did fucking hair and makeup before starting tonight because I didn't want to see you see my tears. Unreal. What a day, what a week, what a year, what a season, what a club.
Making an effort for Loading Mag NFC. I appreciate it. Top man. Good stuff to have you. Look, boys, we'll get straight into it. And look, what I wanted to start with is not the potential Dan meltdown of Man United. We'll get to that in just a second. But actually, Goonie, we'll come to you first because from a Chelsea perspective, you guys have hit a little bit of form recently. You're well in the conversation. Look, I'll start it up just by putting up the league table, just to give everyone a perspective of what we're talking about here. It was, Chelsea seemed down and out a couple of weeks ago. Everyone kind of wrote them off. Now sitting in 7th place, same points as Man United, 2 points behind Newcastle in 6th place. We had Don on before, and Don was adamant that they were out of it, that they weren't getting Europe. He thought it was done, dusted. He wants Poch out. That was his mindset. And I know you've done some stuff with Don anyway. He wants him out. Like, where do you stand now with Chelsea and what they've been doing in recent weeks to put themselves in a shot for European football?
I do think it's it's too little, too late at the minute. I mean, all we can focus on is winning our last 3 games. But when I look at the last 3 fixtures that you have, I mean, you got Brighton at home, you got Man United away, and you got Brentford away, and I honestly think that you can get 9 points out of 9 with those 3. So, in terms of that 6th spot, if Tottenham continue to flop, then maybe, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I mean, it's frustrating from a Chelsea perspective because, you know, where were these performances against the teams that we should have been beaten? You know what I mean? Pochettino, I agree with Don in the sense that the manager does need to go. Again, it's taken 33 games into the season for us to see this level of form, and a lot of it has been down to what I think the tactical decisions that the manager's made. I think there's been a lot of tactical naivety throughout the season, and I don't trust. I wouldn't trust him to potentially repeat the same mistakes the following season because, you know, it's just going to be stagnation. The longer that we're out of the top 4 for the second season in a row, potentially out of the Europa even, you know what I mean? So 3 seasons without European football, 2 seasons without European football is no good. So I think a drastic change does need to be made.
Ah, interesting. Look, it's look, we have to say, although you see it as a little bit too little, too late from a Chelsea perspective, they have hit some form as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to disappoint you, Dave, with what I'm going to about to bring up on the screen, because obviously at the weekend there was a fantastic result from a Chelsea perspective, beating West Ham 5-0. I watched the game. I'll be honest with you, Goonie, I was shocked. I did not expect Chelsea to put in that sort of performance, but I did expect this man, who's picked up your men's player of the year just recently, to get a goal. Lots of people are saying he's the reason why you're in this contention, that you're a one-man team. Would you agree with that?
I mean, to coin it as a one-man team, I do think it's a bit lazy. He's the star man for the team, 100%. And without his goals, we'd probably be in a way worse position than what we're in, 100%. But Cole Palmer, nobody accounted for it. We signed him. We didn't even know what impact he'd have on the team, whether he was going to be a regular starter, so on and so forth. So it was very much an unknown element. In fact, I remember our fan base when we signed him, I think it was for about 40 million. Everyone was like, another kid who's not played any football, why is he here? I was one of those that was throwing out them questions. So, you know, he surprised everybody, which is brilliant. And yeah, like I said, I think it's a bit lazy to just say, you know, it's down to Cole Palmer that last game or whatever. We've had some other players that have come into some decent form as well, even some that I've criticised. Noni Madueke's come into some decent form. Nicholas Jackson's come into, you know, relatively okay form. Caicedo looks like he's improving more and more each game that he plays, which is good. And Pochettino's gone back to inverting Cucurella into that midfield, something that we saw in the pre-season, which goes back to my point. If you knew that this worked in the pre-season and it looked good, why didn't you implement this throughout the season? You chose not to. This is part of the tactical naivety that I speak about with Pochettino that I don't want to be seeing next season.
So are you adamant then you want him gone? You think there's a new manager? I mean, there was rumours with De Zerbi, but they seem to have gone quiet. Are you adamant that you want him out?
I'm adamant only if the replacement is a better manager than Pochettino, because now if we're talking about, we'll go and get De Zerbi, personally, in that case, I'm not really going to say one is better than the other, but for me, De Zerbi is a manager that hasn't really proved himself at the highest level, and he's got no trophies to his name. I feel like we do need somebody who has been there, who's experienced success, and that can get that mentality going at Chelsea Football Club. So for me, if the managers available, and I will say, chat, with the managers that are currently available, they wouldn't necessarily be my first choice, but you can only work with what's available to you. So that are available, for me, it'd be between Amorim or Hansi Flick, one of those two. because those two are both proven winners. And I do think we need that. We need an improvement. We don't need to stagnate. We don't need to regress. We definitely need improvement. And I think those two managers would be able to do so.
We'll go to the panel now. Dan, I'll come to you first because you were kind of like in agreement there, or was it with something in the chat?
No. Before we go, actually, in the chat, someone said about Chris could sort me out for my balls. I've actually got ball cream, so I'm already set there, guys.
But it's not Manscaped ball cream, Dan. It's not Manscaped ball cream. Come on.
Fucking budget. What a budget, man. Come on.
20% off. Loaded 20.
Yeah, loaded
Right,
20.
Goes on there.
Yeah, I agreed with what Gooney said, and you know, it sort of goes into the whole United scenario. I'm sick to death of people saying, "Who would you get? Who would you get? Who would you get?" That's not where we are. That's not where we are. The managers, I feel like the pool of managers available now, and alluding to what Gooney said, I don't think the pool of managers available now are elite. I genuinely don't. I think the days have gone where you had a whole pool of world-class managers that there was always the merry-go-round. Are they going here? Are they going there? That's gone. That's gone for a while. I feel like we're sort of heading towards a little. I'm not disputing they're good managers, but I think the days of world-class managers is fading a little bit slightly. So I agree with Gooney. I mean, you know, Chelsea-wise, Cole Palmer, make no mistake. I know Gooney said they've not been a one-man club, but boy, has he dragged that team kicking and screaming in some games. United, for example, you know, the hat trick. And I do question where Chelsea would have been this season without him. That's something I would say. I just wonder if you would be where you are. I mean, obviously, Gooney, you're like me. You don't want to be in the position you are now. But I just wonder where you'd have been without Palmer this season. I really do.
Bottom half of the table. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, definitely. Look, boys, I'll come to you, Daz, Chris, get your opinions on it. From our perspective, from a Newcastle perspective, are you worried about Chelsea? You know, looking at our fixtures, Gooney just read out our fixtures. You know, Brighton at home, Man United away, Brentford away. But Chelsea, you know, they're coming up against Forest away. Then they travel to Brighton. And then you finish the season at home to Bournemouth. They're like, are we worried, boys, from a Newcastle perspective, that Chelsea could potentially catch us only 2 points behind?
Yeah, I was worried about Chelsea the last time around. We were talking to Dom as well, because they had the more favorable fixtures. This could have been even the first show we discussed it, but and I on my opinion was that then I think I said to Dom that I think they'll go on a run, and Pochettino will bring up. He's done that. I think he sticks around next season. I think they stick with Poch, and I agree with Gooney saying that they'd have to find someone better to replace him with, and that might be difficult. The only other thing though on Chelsea is I was reading, and Michael Palmer has mentioned it here as well in the chat. It's for an article in the Times from Martin Ziegler today about Chelsea may have trouble if they do qualify for Europe of getting in with the FFP restrictions and on the UEFA rules there. So they'll have to do some kind of maneuver. I know Villa are in the same kind of position. They'll have to need to do some kind of a creative or find another hotel to sell or something like that to get around it. But it'd be interesting to see how that plays out as well. Whether it would kick in straight away or whether it would be some kind of fine or something. Like, it'd be interesting to find out how that plays out. Though.
I think Lisa asked a similar question actually. Yeah, will they struggle if they get Europe? You know, with that UEFA ruling that Daz has just talked about. What do you make of that, Gooney? Have you heard about it? Are you worried about it?
I've heard of it, but for me to go into an in-depth explanation would be disingenuous of me. I don't really know too much the ins and outs of it. But what I did hear is that it would only be a problem if it was like the Europa Conference League or something like that. And we do know that we do have to make a few player sales. So I think maybe by the end of the transfer window, we should be able to meet the rules by UEFA, because we got a couple names that are looking to go out of the door. Conor Gallagher looks to be nailed on to be leaving. Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva's already gone back to Brazil.
Is he on big wages, Gooney? Thiago Silva?
I think he was in or around like the 200s or so thousands.
That's massive for you, then, Matt.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So Conor Gallagher, that will get a good transfer fee because obviously, he's an academy player. So that's considered pure profit. Chalobah as well, very similar. So I think after those sales have happened, maybe we'll be in a slightly better position.
Interesting.
Yeah. They'll get around it somewhere.
Yeah. Sell another hotel or 2 million or something else anyway.
Don't do that. United will probably overspend by fucking 50 million and buy it off you.
Chris and then Big Dave. Chris, on Chelsea, like I asked, that's the same question. Really, like, are you worried about what's kind of, and if you are, what is it about Chelsea that you are worried about?
I think they're just riding the crest of a wave at the moment, aren't they? They seem to have hit a little bit of form, and when you've got someone like Cole Palmer in the team who seems to, everything he touches seems to turn to gold, doesn't it, at the minute? So obviously he's a concern. One of the top scorers in the Premier League, and if Haaland hadn't bagged 4 goals the other day, he probably would have been in the contention for the Golden Boot as well, along with Isak. So yeah, I mean, Chelsea at the moment are a bit of a concern because, like I say, they're coming into a little bit of form, and there's no reason to suggest why they can't continue that form. So I suppose the biggest threat for me at the moment is Chelsea. However, which Dan maybe doesn't want to hear, but I still wouldn't rule Man United out from that race. I know things aren't looking good for Man United, but as I said last season when we were in the race for top 4 and Liverpool was seemingly miles behind us, and then they put this run together, and then Liverpool, they missed out in the end. Obviously we got top 4, but it was a bit of a close thing at one point. So as bleak as it looks for Man United at the moment, and I did watch the Palace game, I wouldn't rule Man United out either, but I'd say Chelsea are probably the biggest competitors at the minute.
Dave, I'll come to you. Obviously, you guys mentioned it before. You guys played Chelsea at the weekend at Stamford Bridge. What did you make of Chelsea? From your perspective, was it more Chelsea were just too good for you on Sunday, or was it more West Ham just weren't at the races? Like, what do you make of Chelsea from what you've seen, sort of up close and personal?
My takeaway from Sunday was that if Chelsea wanted to put their foot on the gas, it wouldn't have been. They would have got more than 5. I mean, like second half. Obviously, I mean, you said you watched it. Like, I mean, there must have been times where you thought your stream was lagging because the ball it was just so slow. There was no urgency. There was no pressure. They just played the ball along their back 4, and we stood there and watched them. It was like, was Chelsea that good? Yeah, they were. Were we that bad? Yeah, we were. We had no pace in defence. Who would have thought that a 36-year-old centre half with no pace might struggle against a physical specimen with great pace in his prime? It was a frustrating one.
Dave, I'm right there with you, mate. I'm right there with you. I know exactly what you mean, brother.
We're coming to you, Dad. Don't worry.
You have centre backs.
We've only got 2 fit centre halves in Zuma and Ogbonna, but we do have kids in the academy that, if we had a manager who had the courage to do it, because you've got to have courage to play academy players, we might have seen something different. I'm sure, someone like Caelan Casey's lack of experience might have resulted in a goal, but then he probably had the pace to get back and make recovery tackles that obviously weren't. Need to gain some experience from it. I'll tell you, if there's one thing I will take away as well, there's one thing. Like, you're talking about new managers for Chelsea next season. Your best manager for next season is currently the guy in the dugout, because Pochettino isn't a manager you're going to bring in to get trophies in year 1. Pochettino is a manager that will develop in year 1. We'll build on it in year 2, and in year 3 we'll. You start to reap the rewards of it. You've got quite a young squad. There's a lot of potential in that squad. I don't think a manager. I don't think there's any manager that can come in and turn Chelsea into top 4 contenders without having a huge overhaul of your squad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely, I agree with you. Now, you see, the issue is with that I have with Pochettino is some of the tactical decisions that he's consistently shown throughout the season that have just been completely naive, and that I believe have cost us. You know what I mean? Like playing a lot of these. I know we've had injuries in our squad, but even with that, there's still been no excuse to be playing some of the players where he's been playing them. Ben Chilwell, you've been playing him at left wing at times, bringing him off the bench, playing him left wing when Sterling is fit, and Mudryk, who I don't really rate that highly, was fit at the time. And the thing is he done it as well. The previous game before, Mudryk had scored and he actually showed some kind of form during that game, but he decided to play Chilwell at left wing. Levi Colwill, who's been a left centre back all his career, you decide to throw him at left back when Cucurella's fit and you've got Cucurella on the bench. So these are the things that were continually happening that kind of, killed the trust that I had for the manager to be making the right decisions. And as you know, when you've got players that are so young, confidence is a massive thing with them. Could you imagine being a left winger on the bench and then watching your left back play in your position? You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I can relate to that because we had a very young, promising attacker, George Murphy, on the bench on Sunday, and when Paquetá comes off, who does he turn to? Our 35-year-old second choice left back, so he can push Emerson further up the pitch. I get it. I completely. I mean, obviously, it's different when you watch teams week in, week out. We're all far greater experts on our own club than we are on each other's, which is why we're here. But, I completely and utterly understand exactly where you're coming from with that. I mean, we've seen it all season, with Moyes, 5-0 down, you got nothing to lose. He doesn't make any. We had 2 academy products on the bench. You could have given appearance to. Got 10, 15, 20 minutes under their belt. He made 2 subs all game, and he just left them there as spectators. So. I get it. I completely get it.
So, Gooney, what are you seeing then from your next 3 games, or last 3 games of the season? Forest away at the weekend, then you've got midweek game, Brighton at the Amex, and then sort of Bournemouth to finish the season. Bournemouth playing well, although they lost to Arsenal at the weekend. How are you seeing it? How many points do you reckon you're going to get from those remaining 3 games?
I'd love to be optimistic and say, we're going to get 9 out of 9 points. But again, it's the inconsistencies throughout the season that I've seen that make me doubt it. Because after an emphatic 4-3 last minute winner, Dan, against Manchester United, the following game against
fucking beats us. Don't apologize.
the following game at Stamford Bridge, we play Burnley, who have their manager sent off, a player sent off, and we draw 2-2 with them. But this is what happens when you've got a group of young players, is that you can never guarantee consistencies. Young players, that's what they're about. They're about inconsistency. Sometimes they'll have a brilliant game. Sometimes they'll have a horrible game. So it's really hard for me to tell. But if I'm going by the previous form of our last 2 games, which isn't a massive sample size, then I would say, I'm optimistic, probably 9 points out of 9. But, the realistic side of me, who's sort of putting that optimism to one side and looking objectively, I'm probably going to say maybe 7 out of 9 points.
Okay, so where do you think the points are going to be dropped then if you don't think you're going to get maximum points? What game?
I think Forest or Bournemouth, one of those 2 games. I'm more leaning towards Bournemouth because, like you said, despite, their loss against Arsenal, who are absolutely flying at the minute, Bournemouth have been playing good football. They've been winning a lot of games as well, and they've been decent on away form too. So I can never really write them off like that. So that's the one game that concerns me the most out of the 3. Forest at home, Forest away is not going to be easy either, has to be said.
I'll put it out to the rest of the panel really quickly. Anybody else disagree with what Gooney said between 7 and 9 points? Does anyone else think there's a potential game that could be a banana skin there, in your opinions?
I think Forest and Brighton. I feel like Brighton at the moment, we don't know what Brighton side turns up. They've shown against Villa at the weekend that they can turn it on. Forest are scrapping and and Goonie, you know more than anyone. When you play these scrappy teams, they're fighting. Anything can happen. Obviously, they're not getting the points back. That's been confirmed. That is a massive, massive game on Saturday. That is like, I mean, as far as games go, that's Forest's biggest game of the season, hands down. Hands down. If they win, results go their way, then they're pretty much almost there. So I wouldn't want to be playing Forest on. Well, I don't want to play anyone, but I wouldn't want to play Forest on Saturday away.
Anybody else think? I'm looking at Brighton myself. I'm thinking Brighton, as Dan's just said, they turned over Villa at their place. It's at the Amex. Could be a potential banana skin. Anyone think the same, or anyone think differently?
I think you're right, Pete. I mean, especially after that result they got against Villa, I don't think anyone give them a hope in hell against Villa, and then they go and get that result. So Brighton, Dan's right. Brighton, you never quite know what you're going to get, and it feels like Brighton have kind of been sleepwalking for the past couple of months, because ever since De Zerbi started getting heavily linked with all these top jobs, it's like Brighton have gone backwards. I know they've been struggling with injuries and stuff, but even so, when you look at the start 11, exactly, mate, exactly. And
he didn't come out and dispel it, did he? Come out and kind of encouraged it, I think.
No, I agree, and this is the difficulty with Brighton, because even when you look at their 11, they've still got some, a good solid 11 on the pitch, and it just seems like, either the players are down tools, or as you say, De Zerbi's had his head turned. It just feels like something's not quite right at Brighton. And I'll be honest, I think, any clubs who were potentially interested in De Zerbi, he's probably quickly gone down their list, because I think if he'd have asked at the start of the season, he would have been near the top of most other clubs' lists.
I think Brighton are on the beach. They've lost in their last 5. They've lost 3, drawn 1, and they've won 1. That's the end of the 5. So I think it's 9 points for Chelsea. That's why I think we cannot afford to slip up in any of our games to maintain where we are.
Interesting. We will wait and see. Look, Goonie, I know you've got to shoot just one question, because 2 people have asked it before you're out, and it's from Toon Gamer and Michael Palmer have asked this question: are Chelsea better without Enzo Fernandez? A lot of people mentioning it. What do you think?
Again, this is the thing. I've been one of the very few Chelsea fans that have had criticism for Enzo Fernandez this season, but I honestly think if he was in the team within these last 2 games, I still think that we would have done well. I do think it's a bit of a lazy excuse to be saying Enzo Fernandez not in the team, we play better. I don't think so. But in the form that he's in, that has been in this season, it certainly hasn't helped him. I mean, we've been hearing that he's been playing on a hernia injury for months on end now. And I can understand how that will affect your athleticism if you've got problems with a hernia. And that's one of the main criticisms I had of him this season. Caicedo has been left on an island by himself a lot of the times, because Enzo Fernandez is unable to get back and track back, help him out with the dirty work. Those are the main concerns that I've had with Enzo Fernandez. You know what I mean? So perhaps the injured version of Enzo not being in this team, Chelsea are playing better, but wait till he comes back from the injury, after he's had his surgery. Let's see how he performs next season.
Look, we'll let you go, because I know you've got things you need to do, but appreciate you coming on to take the time to join us.
Always a pleasure to see you, Goonie.
Lads, I'm sorry that I couldn't stay any longer. I've actually got to run and go and pick up the kids, so it was a last thing. But enjoy, everybody. Big up yourself, man, and make sure people smash the like button, subscribe. Yeah,
thank you.
Take care, buddy. Gareth Southgate out. Gareth Southgate to United. I'm out.
Yeah.
And there was me.
Man United.
What a lovely bloke.
No one even asked him to say it either.
Goonie, I'll get you back.
You will. Great to have Goonie on there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. But look, just before we come to Man U and Newcastle, there was an interesting comment in the chat. And I think it was from Tristan. And he was like, what are West Ham doing here? Like, they can't even get Europe. Now, actually, that's not technically true, because, they can still get European football, by finishing in 7th place, and there's still enough points up for grabs. 2 games to go, Luton, and of course that daunting trip to the Etihad. You can still get European football, Dave. So, you know, someone
I got
already
a question on that, Pete. I got a question on that.
Go for it. Come on.
If Dortmund win the Champions League, they've already got 5th place in Germany. So does that mean that 6th place Freiburg, who are on 45 points, will take the last Champions League spot?
I don't believe so.
Or will they move it? I don't know. I mean, if they move it, then England are next, aren't they, in the rankings, and that pushes everything down again. I don't know. I've not just come to me now. I've not researched it, but
that's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. I would have assumed that if Dortmund win the Champions League, obviously they automatically go in. If they're in the top 4, top 5,
they're 5th. They're quite comfortable as well.
I don't think it would move down to 6th. That would be crazy. 6th, yes, Champions League.
45 points.
Yeah, I could be wrong. It's a great question. We'll have to find the answer to that. If anyone in the chat knows, that would be madness. Bundesliga gets 6th place Champions League. But yeah, I think it's a great question. But Dave, you're still, albeit by a thread, you're still in the race for Europe. Look, it's been a bit of a tough time for you guys. Obviously, being knocked out of Europe by Leverkusen, dropping down the league with defeats, particularly that one with Chelsea. We've talked about that before. However, some positive news there for you. Does this override things with the fact that the club have then announced swiftly after the game at Stamford Bridge that Moyes will be leaving the club afterwards? And look, rumours of Julian Lopetegui accepting the proposal for West Ham to become their new manager. Does that override the thoughts of potentially dropping out of Europe? What do you make of it all, mate? It's been a bit of a wild week for West Ham.
I mean, in order for us to get Europe, we've got to win our last 2 games at home to Luton away at Man City. We need Chelsea, given our goal difference, to lose all 3 of their remaining games. And we need Man United to lose all 3 of their remaining games. So it's pretty much nailed on, I think, that we've got it. But just to answer Tristan anyway, even if we assume West Ham European hopes are finished, obviously I'm just here for me stunning good looks and amazing repartee of Cockney charming wit. To come on to Moyes, the club have done the right thing, because as bad as this season has been, and I know we've kind of had this debate with our own fan base and people going like just after Christmas when the form started to tail off, oh, we're still 6th, we're still in Europe. Then it was we're 7th and we're still in Europe. And currently we're 9th and we're out of Europe. But ultimately, you know, if you look at Moyes, he came in for his second stint at a time when we were fighting relegation. He kept us up. We then had a good first season back. And then during the lockdown season, when, let's be honest, like times were difficult, weren't they? They were hard mentally and emotionally, I think, you know, with the restrictions and all that.
And Liverpool
winning, exactly. I mean, you know, at least it wasn't Arsenal. At least it wasn't Arsenal. And that's all I've got to cling to this season is that, you know, I'm watching the Premier League champions on the final day. To cut back boys, like obviously it was a difficult time. You know, we had a great season. Games that stand out. We were 3-0 down at White Spurs in about the 80th minute, 81st minute, and we come back and got a draw. Yeah, it was one of those moments where, like, you know, you just reminded why you love football. You know, and he gave us that. And then we came out of lockdown and we had, you know, the Europa League season, you know, reached semi-finals. We had, you know, the following season, you know, we qualified for Europe again on the last day, got the Conference League. Last year won the Conference League, and this year it's been another quarter-final. So I'm glad the club have announced it in time that we can give him a good send-off, because we owe him that as West Ham. And I don't think all the gripes and all the media and various, you know, sport radio stations that want to say, oh, be careful what you wish for. You know, you don't know what you've got and so on. It was never about what he's done for us and what he's achieved. It was about the state of the club and the decline we're in. You know, this season we conceded 5 at Palace just to make you feel a little bit better, Dan. You know, Chelsea beat us 5-0, Fulham beat us 5-0, Liverpool beat us 5-1 to knock us out of the League Cup. Arsenal beat us 6-0. Villa put 4 past us. Newcastle put 4 past us. It's been a lot of very difficult watches at times, you know, this season. So it's the right time. It's the right time for him to go. And I'm glad that we're all going to get a chance to pay respects. I was feeling quite pessimistic about Saturday after the game. I was like, oh, Luton have got something to fight for, and our players are on the beach. But hopefully that's going to re-energise the squad a little bit. Hopefully he's going to make some changes. You know, we're not going to see the same players persistently underperforming. He might, you know, might freshen it up. And, you know, then at Manchester, you know, he can play the under-14s, and hopefully we'll get some nice photos of Declan Rice in tears on social media.
Dave,
to move on to, yeah.
Sorry, mate. I just wanted to ask you, what happened with Amarim? Because I know he came for talks, and then he came out and said, "Sorry, I made a big mistake. I shouldn't have done it midway through a season." But when I was reading the quotes, it didn't sound like he was saying, "Oh, I'm staying at Sporting Lisbon now. Sorry about that." It was just as him saying that he shouldn't have gone when he did for the talks. It's like, is he completely off the table now in terms of West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, David Sullivan does have that effect on people, to be fair. I don't think he was ever on the table, to be honest. They flew into London for talks. But I don't recall. No, never in his tenure at West Ham in 15 years has Sullivan paid compensation to get a manager out of a club. He's always taken managers that are free. You know, he came in, he appointed, I think Avram Grant was his first appointment, unemployed. Allardyce was unemployed. Bilic was unemployed. Moyes was unemployed. Pellegrini was unemployed. Moyes, 18 months later, was still unemployed, and we took him back. And now we're being talked with Lopetegui, or we'll call him J-Lo. Everyone's calling him J-Lo, so we'll stick with that. and now we've been linked with J-Lo, who's free and available. So I don't think Amarim was ever on the table. I don't think Sullivan's got the ambition to go and get Amarim. And if he did have the ambition to phone Amarim and go, "Do you want the job?" I think Amarim's probably got better offers on the table than working for us. I think the pedigree's kind of divided the fan base into the "No, I don't want him, please don't employ him," and the "No, I don't want him, but we should give him a chance" kind of factions. It's, for what everyone keeps telling me that he's going to come in and play this brilliant passing football and it's going to be glorious to watch. But you look at the way he left, he walked out in Spain just before World Cup to go to Real Madrid. He walked out on Wolves 3 days for the start of the season. You know, he's never been anywhere for very long. I mean, I don't think he survived that long at Real Madrid, did he? I think he got about halfway through a pre-season friendly before he was out the door. You know, it's not going to. There's nothing currently that gives you any kind of confidence that he's going to come in and he's going to do anything other than it's going to end in tears. Either he's going to fail spectacularly and it'll end in tears, or it will go quite well and the team 2 points above us in the table will ring him up and he'll put a resignation in and go. That seems to be the way he operates.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like it's only until you've kind of mapped that out, Dave, that you think about it. You go, actually, it's a little bit techie. Is history at clubs and in various places that he's been. I've not really kind of thought about that until you've just said it. But to answer Chris's question with Amorim, he said he's already said he's staying at Sporting.
Oh, wow.
He came out and officially said he kind of admitted he'd made a mistake and he's already committed to getting them to win another league title next season. So, so even if anyone came back in for him, I think the fact that he's made that statement now, I think it'd be the worst thing he ever did if he went back on it, because I don't
unless
think
unless he does a Fabian Delph, Pete.
Oh my God! You only do that if you're attached to Everton, don't you? But I think it'd be like the worst thing for him for his managerial career if he then went back on that trust that he's now rebuilt with Sporting. But Lopetegui, he did do a good job at Wolves. He did get them playing well, and I think one of the reasons
budget as well. Budget.
And that was part of the reason why I think he left Wolves. But that might be part of the reason, Dave, why I think he might actually do well at West Ham, because you have still got finances there with that 100 million that you recouped from Declan Rice. You've invested well, but there's still money there for him to be able to invest with. And that's where I think Lopetegui will have the ability to manage the way he wants to, where he wasn't able to do at Wolves. That's kind of where I'm looking at it from that perspective.
I think the issue that we're going to have is we've got quite an old squad. Paquetá allegedly had his head turned by City. He's got an £85 million buyout clause. He's going to be off. So we'll probably have that to spend.
Kudus as well. Kudus has apparently come out the other day. He's got a release clause too. We don't know if it's this summer or next summer.
No, I think it's next summer. I've heard it doesn't apply for the first 3 transfer windows. He's with us. Is what I've heard anyway. The thing is that you look at that team at the moment. We've got a 32-year-old right back who's out of contract and the backup's going. We've got Emerson, who's been a contender for player of the season, but his backup is Cresswell. He's going. You look at our defence. Zuma is limping. Ogbona's 36 and leaving. Mavropanos has had injury problems throughout the season and has been liable for a goal or two. Aguerd apparently doesn't want to play for us anymore, and that's why he's nowhere to be seen for months on end. He's had his head turned by the Saudis. You look at the midfield, and Alvarez is superb, but you're probably going to want to upgrade one of Ward-Prowse or Souček. There's a Paquetá-shaped hole to be filled. And we need a striker. So straight away, if you say you're going to need 2 centre-halves, a striker, and a centre-mid, I mean, to get a top 10 quality in each position, you're probably going to need to spend, plus a Paquetá replacement, you're probably talking $250 million, in current transfer fees that isn't there. So it'll be whether Steiden can work miracles and pull a rabbit out of a hat. But apparently he found a guy in Denmark he wanted in January from Nordsjælland who come from the same academy as Kudus. The board didn't want to back him, didn't put the money down, and now he signed an agreement to go to Brighton in the summer. So
another Brighton.
It's one of those with a setup at the moment where I don't think. I think personally, the manager I want, the manager I really think could do a job for us, and I would happily, piggyback him from Stamford Bridge to the London Stadium. Is Pochettino. He could sign his contract in my blood. I genuinely think this is the guy that is going to need. Like I said to Goody, he's a guy that you bring in for 3 years down the line. But we've got one of the best academies in the country currently. Won the Under-18 League last year. Won the FA Youth Cup. This year, they've moved up. We finished second in Premier League 2. And we're through to the quarterfinals at a knockout stage. Or the playoffs or whatever they're called in the Swiss format. They're bringing in the Champions League when they've done, the league table and so they go through. So the academy's there and it's producing players. We need to develop those players and find a pathway. And I think Pochettino's the right man to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's a few that have mentioned Pochettino that they would take. I'm with you, Daz. Though I think Poch stays at Chelsea. I genuinely think he'll stay there. But fans are wanting him out, but I genuinely think he'll stay. But I think another manager, I think he'd do a good job at West Ham for sure. But look, go on, Daz.
Yeah, no. I might just go to 1 or 2 questions because we have about 50 questions for Dan. They're all waiting with bated breath for Dan / Roy Keane. He's getting the Roy Keane comments as well.
Can you believe my wife wanted me to cut this off? No chance. No chance.
It's your job. It's your job, man. But yeah, the one for Dave here is, and I think you'll be interested in this one, Chris. Question for Dave: how does he feel about the Scamacca stint? Even had a good season with Atalanta, now not far off 20 for the season and 9 for Europa. Where did it all go wrong at West Ham for him?
Well, it's quite simple, really. Scamacca, as good as he is, wasn't Mikel Antonio, and therefore Moyes was completely reluctant to play him. And that's all it boiled down to. Scamacca, when he did play, played fairly well in Sparks. I mean, you could see that he can do it. He can clearly, it was clearly a very good player there. We just didn't give him the opportunity. It's a shame, but that's one of the problems with Moyes. He was so steadfast in this is how I want to play. We're not going to deviate from it. That when Scamacca come in and didn't want to hassle defenders in the same way that Antonio does sometimes. But there was rumours as well that he was homesick and he wanted to go back to Italy in the summer. So maybe that played a part as well.
Who was that bloke? Who was that bloke that Harry signed that did that to you, Big Dave? Was he Chilean or something that refused to come out the hotel?
Oh, that was Florian Matachoyo. He didn't want to play a League Cup. Didn't want to play a League Cup game at Stockport because he wanted to
go. Back the hotel window, didn't he? And fucked off.
His missus wanted to go shopping at Harvey Nichols. And to be fair, if you gave me a choice between shopping at Harvey Nichols with a wife or Stockport away in the League Cup,
yeah. Oh mate, I'm taking Stockport all fucking time.
I don't know if she's watching
Stockport
this
all day.
I don't know if she's watching this. I didn't want to say, but
Dave, a follow-up question, and it's a striker-related question. And it comes from Michael Palmer here. West Ham feels like a good move for Callum Wilson in the summer. Would you take Callum Wilson if he was up for sale?
No, it's not. To be honest, he does seem to. He seems to have a lot of injuries.
I agree, Dave.
I mean, the only benefit would be that he wouldn't be able to score against us. But at the same time, like training sessions, him and Antonio would be running around with microphones, wouldn't they? So I don't think he's very good for defensive shape.
Mate, watch them sign him now for that. Watch them sign him because Antonio's there. Watch it. Stranger things happen in football.
20 mil.
Oh, you in this fucking 20 mil.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't even started a new yet at 20 mil. Carry on, Pete.
No, I was going to say if there aren't any more questions, I'll come back to Dave. So look, the question is this simple: like you've got Luton away, you've got the Etihad where you played Man City last game of the season. Do you think this run in Europe is now over for you? You've gone, I think, 4 years in a row. European football, like you said, you won the Europa Conference League on the back of that semi-final Europa League. Is this the end? And if it is, in your opinion, do you think it's going to be harder to get European football next season with all of these other teams looking to rebuild as well?
I think the European run is over. Yeah, I think, it's very hard to make a case for us winning at the Etihad and needing every, to get 7 or 8 results go your way is a big ask at it. So we've only got ourselves to blame for that. Do I think we can rebuild? No, is the honest answer. I think next season you're going to have. I think the league is going to be between Man City and Arsenal again. Liverpool obviously have a new manager, need a bit of time to adjust. Newcastle, I think, will be top 4, given hopefully you get all your players back and a little bit of investment. I think Spurs under Postecoglou, if they can buy a number 9 that scores goals, are going to be a dangerous side. Chelsea and Man United aren't going to be this bad next season. And then you've got Villa in the mix. Bournemouth seems to be a club on the up. And I wouldn't back against them. Brighton, if they can, there's so many ifs and ands, and we're going to have a new manager coming in. It's going to need time to settle, time to, the squad needs a rebuild. Do you know what? If you offer me 12th next year, I think I'd take it right now.
Really?
Genuinely, yeah. I think it's going to be a spoonful of very bitter medicine, and this is part of one of the things with the pedigree is that you're not getting a manager for the long term who's going to oversee that rebuild. You're going to get a manager for 6 months to a year who's then going to leave in bitter acrimony. That's why I want Pochettino. I want a manager that I can think in 3 years' time, he's going to oversee that rebuild.
Would you take Potter, Dave?
Ooh. The thing with Potter, I'll give you this, right? If you take Chelsea out of it, every club he's been at, he's left in a better way than he found them. Swansea were better than when he left. Brighton was a better club when he left. Ostersund's, he obviously took from, a Swedish Sunday pub league to European football. I think I'd take Potter I think Potter's a guy you could probably look 3 years down the line, but at the same time, you don't know how Chelsea has had any impact. Has that affected his confidence? Has the time away from football, affected the way he sees it?
Yeah.
I think
it's a bit of a gamble, but
you get. I think with Potter, though, what you would get is someone that's happy to work with the director of football, because he did with Dan Ashworth, didn't he? And the chat before there worked really well. I think that's where you need to go. That's where football needs to go now. You need to have that direct correlation between manager, director of football. You have to. So with him, you would get that, wouldn't you? Because the director of football, what's his name? Tim Steiden, yeah. Tim Steiden seems like he's quality. Was it Leverkusen you got him from?
Yeah, I mean, you can see exactly. You can see he's like. The one thing I've said all season is I want to trust. I want the next appointment to be Steiden's. I don't think Lopetegui has Sullivan's fingerprints all over him because he's out of work and he's cheap. He doesn't have Steiden's kind of fingerprints of being young and dynamic and forward thinking. So I don't think we've got that.
Do you think you could attract Tuchel?
Yeah, I do.
He's begging for a job, isn't he? He's begging to come back.
And he's free.
Yeah, I think you could.
Rio was trying to get him at Man United. I saw a clip of it a few hours ago. Trying to talk him up. The one thing I'll say about Potter is been heavily linked today with Ajax. With the Ajax job.
Not gone away, that has it? That's been for the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, which tells you everything you need to know. Like, if Ajax are looking for a manager like Potter to come in and do a job, he must be rated. He's got to be rated. One thing he'll have to do when he get there is get Jordan Henderson out of that squad as soon as possible, because he's been absolutely atrocious. But no, Potter I think would be a really good suit for you. But look, you might not get European football this season, but as we said, what you've got to do next is instill a manager that's going to be able to take this team forward and properly rebuild. And like you said, it might mean a season off if it means for you to rebuild. I don't think it'll quite be 12th, but I think you'll be in and around the European conversation again. I'll put it that way. Not necessarily guaranteed to get it, but in that conversation.
We were 14th last year, and we're 9th currently in 3-4. I think 12th is probably a reasonable prediction.
Yeah,
I wouldn't rule out a relegation battle at this point. I mean, no,
surely not.
We was in a relegation battle before boys came. We spent, we had a couple of seasons. I mean, we was right in the mix of it when Villa stayed up, didn't they? Because of the dodgy Hawkeye. I mean, that was it. Yeah, we got a win against Chelsea, and I think that took us just clear. I mean, we were 16th, 17th that year, something like that. We were 14th last year. We do have a tendency to bounce around, so.
Okay, well, let's see. The likelihood to beat Luton, hopefully for your sake, Man City wiped the floor with them, so they we were West Ham, so the Man City with the title, and then you'll rebuild again. But look, right, let's move on to Manchester United. I can see his eyes close with the dread and the thought of talking about his club. Look, I'm going to get straight into it. It wasn't.
Let me start by quoting the great Cody Rhodes. So, what do you want to talk about?
Yes, I love it. What I want to talk about is this.
Yeah, to be fair, I think the advertising board's good. I think the picture the blur's a bit rough in the background, so the photographer's probably had an off night there. What else, mate?
That stat there. Casemiro got dribbled past 8 times against Crystal Palace, the most of any player in a single Premier League game this season. They called it a disaster class. Look, Man United were not good to our joy because we needed you to drop points in this race for Europe. But as a Man United fan, you know, you've talked about it, you've shown your frustrations about it. What the hell is going on? Like literally, what is going on, man? So seeing you guys reminds me and Daz and Chris of what we were like pre-takeover with Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley. But you've got Sir Jim in the club already, and these things are still happening. The club is still operating no differently, in my opinion, compared to when before they came into the club. What is going on?
I mean, that's not strictly true because since they've come in, Barada's come in, we've got Jason Wilcox, so we've sorted that out. Dan Ashworth, as someone's commented, must have the gardening skills of Charlie Dimmock. I think, look, behind the scenes, I think Sir Jim is doing the right things. I do. I think he has no control on what happens on the pitch. It's been a tough couple of days for me. As you guys know, I'm quite jovial and I'm a happy chappy. And I don't know. I always wear a United shirt. I always wear a United shirt when I'm on live. Tonight, I thought you can get stuff. Not you, them.
Give them the good stuff tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Hair done, new trim, everything. It's been a train wreck. Look, it's been. Christ. Do you reckon Roy Keane, when he goes places, they go, "Fuck me, he looks like Dan Robinson, that bloke." It's been a catastrophe. There's no way of dressing it up any other way. It's been an absolute catastrophe. But, and Pete, I don't know if you remember, I said this last season. This was coming. This was coming. This, high that we were all on last season, winning the Carabao Cup. Wink, wink. You lot have been giving me loads of shit, so that's the only thing I've got. Winning the Carabao Cup, finishing in the Champions League, albeit in a season that was awful. A lot of teams were rubbish around us, like we're seeing this season. I saw it coming. I feel like, and we said this off air, my problem is, at this point in time, is Manchester United fans. Simple as that. My tolerance of Manchester United fans has just gone. Because, I love Saeed's channel. I watch Saeed a lot. But, watching his scream-a-thon about Ten Hag, watching all these other United fans, watching Mark Goldbridge, honestly, I only do you know what? I genuinely only do it on TikTok now on other people's accounts because I don't want to give him any views. I don't want to do anything like that. I'm sick of it. Because this is the merry-go-round Manchester United have gone through since Sir Alex Ferguson left. Moyes come in. It was Moyes' fault. The fans all said it. It's Moyes' fault. It's Moyes' fault. Get him out of the club. We got him out of the club. He was gone. Van Gaal come in. Van Gaal, who didn't play attacking football, but there was a style of play. Won an FA Cup. We got rid of him. It's Van Gaal's fault. We've got to get rid of him. He's boring. Got to get rid of him. It's boring. Jose come in. Jose, who was a serial winner, by the way. It's Jose's fault. We've got to get him out. He's too old. His style doesn't work anymore. Get him out. He's gone. He's got to go. We got rid of him. Ollie come in. Ollie started off on such a high, and as a United fan, watching one of the players that I adored growing up.
Yeah.
I got emotional in some games watching him, but then the fans did the same when it didn't go right. It's Ollie's fault. Get him out. It's got to get rid of him. We need an experienced manager. We need experience. Ralph come in. Okay, Ralph Rangnick, who Jurgen Klopp come out and said he is like he is the man. Couldn't get a grasp of the players. Get Rangnick out. Get Rangnick out. He doesn't know what he's doing. Rangnick goes, or United fans suddenly go, oh shit, actually, you know what he's talking about. Ten Hag come in. Ten Hag, get him out. He doesn't know what he's doing. Not once have I heard United fans really go for what I think, other than the background, the Glazers, is the biggest fucking problem with Manchester United, and that is the players. A lot of these players have survived so many managers. Martial being one of them, Rashford being one of them. Okay, there has to be a change here. Now I'm gonna say it, and I don't care. I don't care about the Eric Ten Hag comments. I don't care, but I will. If they choose to keep him next season under this new model that we're doing, then I will sit there and I will take it. I will take it, because if we have 12 months of him with a new structure, we're seeing a lot of these players go, but he has to have no say in transfers. He has to, because the transfers he's brought in, a couple of them have been hits, the rest have been absolutely atrocious. So that's the first thing. The second thing for me is I just feel like United fans need to have a sense of realism. Like, we've known this club has been badly run for such a long time. We've known that Manchester United, as on principle, have gone out there and tried to spend their way out of trouble, season in, season out. They've cared more about the name on the back of the shirt than what the pride is wearing on the front of the shirt. So there's the other problem. I just feel like it's got to stop. And I am literally counting down the minutes, the seconds, the milliseconds until the season's over, because FA Cup final is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. People are saying to me, yeah, but it's one game in isolation. Bollocks. It's not. It's definitely not. Don't trust any of the players on the pitch. On Monday night against Palace, people, come for Ten Hag as they will. Who else was he meant to play? Where else were these players meant to play? Then people are telling me, but it was the attitude of the players on the pitch. The manager has to have something to do with that. If Jose fucking Mourinho can't get across to players, right? Jose Mourinho, who is a serial winner, if he can't do that, who can? Because I'm standing by what I say here. You drop Pep in that squad, Pep ain't winning nothing. Not with those players. No chance. I feel like the players on Monday, when they stepped onto the turf, we were on the show with Potts, weren't we, Pete?
Yeah.
I had it on like I've got the Madrid game here on the bottom here. I was watching them walk out, and I watched a group of players walk onto that pitch with the air about them of, we've got an excuse tonight, we've got no players. So regardless of what happens. And you know who I felt sorry for the most? And I'll tell you something. You could say a lot about Manchester United fans that go to the games, okay? The away support, you could say a lot about them, but they applauded. They stayed until the end, and they fucking applauded. And I think that speaks volumes of them. I really do. So the other things I want to touch on, I've seen questions in there. I've seen people say about, how do we expect to sell so many players? Well, fortunately for Manchester United, this season, some of the big hitters will leave on a free. So Anthony Martial goes on a free. He's on 225 grand a week. Varane goes on a free. He's on nearly 300 grand a week. Mason Greenwood will go. That I'm sure of. He's a homegrown player. That's pure profit. Jadon Sancho. We need to get, and Manchester United fans, I'm talking to you now, this shit in your head that you've seen him play two good games, and you think that he should come back next season, all is forgiven. Get out your fucking system, because I tell you something as well now. I heard the interview with the Dortmund manager last night, and this explains Sancho to a T. He said, with Jadon Sancho, you have to make special allowances for certain players, and it's all about getting the squad of players around him to understand that. This kid ain't Eric Cantona, okay? This kid ain't Cristiano Ronaldo. So I will see him go in the summer, gladly. And look, if Newcastle buy him, I know you want him, Pete. More power to you. But the more he plays well in these Champions League semi-finals, the more his value will go up. Simple as that. It will.
Yeah.
So he goes. Other players around them. You got people like Wan-Bissaka. I wouldn't trust Wan-Bissaka in an under-9s game, let alone a football game. He has to go. I think Lindelof has to go. I would keep Maguire over Lindelof every day of the week and twice on the Saturday. He is. And then the other one, the one that divides opinion. The one that divides opinion is Rashford. If Paris Saint-Germain are stupid enough to come in with a bid between 80 and 100 million pounds, you best believe I am walking from Telford, which is in the Midlands, up to Manchester. I'm putting him on my back. I'm carrying all of his bags, and I'm carrying him to the airport, and I'm putting him on that plane myself. I saw as much as
live stream it.
Sorry,
can you live stream that? I'd watch.
Yeah, of course I will, mate. Don't you worry. I saw one good thing that Mark Goldbridge had on one of his channels the other day was Henry Winter, and Henry Winter sat there and said, I don't know if any of you saw it, said this is a player that it's become too much the abuse he's getting. I don't think look, abuse is abuse. On Twitter, we have trolls. Trolls do that. We know that. I get called all sorts. But for me, I think a lot of people are wising up to Marcus Rashford now. He's not a wonder kid anymore. He's 26, turning 27. If this kid was 22, you could say, yep, okay, I get it. He's young. He could come good. It's not that. So if the money comes, and again, he is part of that pure profit that we make, plus the fact he's on 375 grand a fucking week, then get rid of him. So I saw someone else in the comments say that United haven't got any money to spend. If we turn over those players, which I think are likely to go, we will have money to spend. It will. Now, with regards to us, another person saying that we're relying on the Saudis. We're only relying on the Saudis, for me, for two players, and that is Casemiro and Anthony. Anthony is displayed to me. I manage a Sunday League team. I've got two left wingers that are 10 times the player he is. He doesn't have an absolute clue. And the Clon lad, you say that, mate, but this is the thing. Rashford will go to the Euros, and Rashford will have a good tournament. It will happen. I'm telling you now, that is what will happen. It's the way things go. It's the way it goes. So, as I was going back to the Saudi League, we're not desperate on the Saudi League because we know other players are going to go for frees. We know other players are wanted by other clubs. So by any means, we are not sat there praying that the Saudis come in. Craig, what's he said? Our chairman will back this man need a tap to pass for Craig, listen, look, you're getting Dougie Freedman, mate, and I knew this would happen. Once you've got someone in place, the wheels would start turning a lot quicker with the Ashworth. I think we're all, I think we can all agree that was. I think Newcastle, quite rightly, were never going to let someone go unless they had someone coming in. They're astute business people that run that club, which is something we've not had for a long time. So, for me, it's been hell. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'll coin what my lovely wife always says: "Why do you get so passionate?" Because I love them, and I will say that I love my club. Newcastle fans should understand that because you guys, for me, have been incredible supporters of your club for the past 20, 30 years that I've been on this planet. I've seen you go through hardship time after time. I've seen you in the championship and still absolutely blitz it with your fans. I love my club. So I'm not sitting here saying woe is me, but this is my truth. This is how I feel. And this is where I feel like Manchester United need to go. It's as simple as that. Simple as that.
Realistically, Dan, obviously you're talking about players going, and I don't disagree with anything you've said, but, like looking just off the top of your head, looking at your starting 11 next season, first game of the season in August, who are the players that spring to mind that you go, I want them in my starting 11 next season? I
am still here. Sorry, that's 2 seconds. I just don't want you to see me cry, lads. I don't want you to see me cry. Okay, well, I mean, but this is the problem, Chris. I go back to the whole manager chat. For me, who I want and who we realistically will get is just completely different. I mean, if it was me, I'd love Frimpong at right back. I'd love us to get a decent left back in. You know.
Oh no, I mean from the existing. So the ones
from the
that you've got
existing.
now,
Sorry,
who-
right.
who-
So
who
from the
you want to
existing
keep.
squad.
Yeah.
From the existing squad. There's no way that Onana goes anywhere, so he'll stay there. Onana will be there.
Yeah.
I'd keep Dallo. I would keep Dallo, but I would bring a right back in who is more capable of challenging him. Luke Shaw, I'd sell in the summer. I've said this more to the point. I absolutely adore Luke Shaw. I think he's quality as left back, but he misses too many games through injury. He misses far too many games. I keep Maguire. I keep Martinez. And then the midfield, I would obviously keep Mainu. I feel like we're destroying that poor kid. I absolutely feel like we're destroying that poor kid, overplaying him at the moment. Bruno Fernandez, I would keep. It showed against Palace. As much as people think he's a rat, they call him whatever. For us, he's indispensable. We have to keep him. Simple as that. I keep Mason Mount. I would keep Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount get a pre-season in him and get fit. I think I'd like to see him have another chance. Garnacho stays, Hoyland stays, and that's it. I mean, like this whole thing, this love affair with Amad Diallo scored a last-minute goal against Toon Gamer. I'm talking real. Like, who are United going to go out and buy? We did the biggest mistake ever by letting David De Gea go on a free. You know what I mean? And I was one of the people who wanted him gone. I was, because I was made to believe that we were going to change to a progressive style of play, playing out from the back, and that's something that David De Gea couldn't do. But my God, But then the other side with Onana, as much as he's made a few errors, that guy has faced so many shots. He's faced more shots than a firing squad. You know what I mean? So yeah, they're the group I would keep. And then, of course, the youngsters coming through. So we've got a young lad called Shea Lacey, who apparently is meant to be amazing. He is meant to be.
Just to add into that, Dan, my youngest lad, he's mates with him. And he said,
"Oh, really?
He's unbelievable.
He's incredible. They call him the Scouse Messi, don't they? That's what they call him. Harry Amas, the left back. I keep Harry. We got a lad called Ethan Wheatley coming through. That for me spells not. We have to go out and buy another striker. We can't just hope that he will come through, have a good pre-season. So yeah, I mean, we've got, and this is the thing. The youth team have done really well. Like, our youth system seems to be thriving this season. So yeah, they're the players I keep. But then I'm not stupid and naive enough to sit here and say that I think we will get rid of 10, 15 players. I don't think that's possible in today's game. I don't think that's possible. So there will be players that will stick around and still be part. But it has. My problem is, and I'm saying this here now, and I want you to remember this, guys. If we start, even if we get the manager we want, even if the fans get the manager they want, the number one manager, if it doesn't happen in 6 months, they'll turn on Ineos. It'll be Ineos's fault. It won't be the players' fault. It'll be Ineos. Instead of giving these players your undying loyalty, call them out for Christ's sake. Because honestly, can you imagine this group of players under Sir Alex Ferguson? Can you actually imagine this group of players? They
wouldn't be here.
They wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here. So look, it is what it is. I've had to stay off TikTok for a couple of days because I've just been so angry about it. But yeah, but and you know something, as much as you guys banter me in the chat, and you do, and we have that love-hate relationship, I know that. Newcastle, I've got no problem with you guys getting 6th place. I think what you've been through this season, and I got a lot of shit on the Monday show saying about injuries with United. You guys have had injuries. We know this, and I remember the conversations, Pete, that we had about Eddie Howe. I remember the game before Sunderland where everybody was saying, if he loses against Sunderland, this might be a step too far. So for him to do what he's done, and this goes back to the trust that a manager has from the owners and has the right people behind him. This is what happens when you get it right, not just on the field, but off the field. You have to get it right. If you don't sort out what's happening behind you, it will trip you up. Simple as that. So yeah, look, those guys come in and look, you all know this. Dave knows this. The guys who come in at Newcastle come in and they meant business from day dot. I get that kind of feeling with Ineos. I do. I get that kind of feeling with Sir Jim. I mean, Christ, you talk about, and this is something, and I'll only swear one more time, I promise, right? But those fucking bastards in America, right, who couldn't turn up for the Munich air disaster, ceremony, wouldn't turn up to Old Trafford after the Ronaldo return, right? They can go to hell for all I care. Then you've got Sir Jim, who runs a fucking marathon. He's 71, runs a marathon, and is still there in time for the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. That's a guy to me that tells me he's interested and wants to do something at this club. That to me tells, the things behind the scene where he's telling all the people who are working from home, you get back into the office. We need you back in the office. He is assessing everything, and he's got the right people with him to assess everything. So look, we have to wait and see. We are not going to be title contenders in 12 months, by the way. So any Manchester United fan who thinks, we get the right player, no. This is a 2 to 3 year process of us being able to be in that category of trying to compete. You're going to have patience with this new situation that we've got. You've got to have patience, and you've got to give them the time to get their shit done.
Right, lots to say.
I'm done.
And breathe.
But no,
I'm just going to go and freshen my balls up after that because I'm sweaty as hell.
Manscaped. But no, you made a lot of points that it's hard to disagree with anything you've said with regards to your opinion on Man United. But Dave, I'm conscious that you haven't had anything to say with regards to this. Are you in agreement with what Dan said about Man United's situation? What is your observations from the outside looking in as a West Ham fan of what's going on at Man United?
Well, first and foremost, I'd love to agree with Dan that Manchester United fans are indeed a problem. A second, I'll be honest as well. Once you said about you was going to pick up Marcus Rashford, you're going to walk to Manchester, you're going to carry him and all his bags to the airport. I started to think you do look a bit like that Hardy Skeezer. And maybe there's a career there for you as a tribute act.
Mate, I wish I had my hat on because with my beard at the moment, I look like Forrest Gump when he's running across the bloody country with my beard, all right?
But Rashford on their back.
Yeah.
Literally.
To come back to Man United, I agree with Dan. I do think Jim Ratcliffe is a man who I think at this stage of his life as well, I don't think you're getting Jim Ratcliffe, the businessman. I think you're getting Jim Ratcliffe, the fan. I do think he is going to do whatever he feels he needs to get Manchester United back on the right foot. I think he's going to put his money where his mouth is in the summer. I think he's going to... the one thing I don't think you're going to lose all the players you think you'll lose.
Which ones don't you think we'll lose?
I just think the sheer volume of it, I mean, obviously the ones that are out of contract will go, but Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof.
Lindelof's only got a year left, so I think they'll try and sell, and there is interest in him from Italy as well.
Oh, okay, but I mean, sort of just generally speaking, I think you are going to have some deadwood still in that squad. Come August, come September. I think there's a case. I think you got a reason once you get your manager situation sorted that you can start to feel optimistic. No, I do. I think once you get into
sorry, not you. That wasn't to you.
Oh, right, okay.
That was to Craig again.
Oh,
Craig knows more about Man United than I fucking do.
I don't think you've got a case for optimism. I don't think you're going to be knocking on the door of top 4 next year. I don't think Villa are going to keep it up for another season.
Dave, I hope so, mate, because we've got a Villa fan in our chat, Billy. He is he's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy, but he is one of the most deluded fans I've ever met. So I pray that you're right. I really do.
Sounds like Villa fans, to be fair. They won a European Cup once, but they never talk about it.
Yeah.
The chest that he comes out with in the chat in comparison to what he does on a live show is like the polar opposites. It's mad.
It's like my wife in front of my mates. My wife in front of my mates is the nicest, calmest, loveliest, beautifulest woman. Behind closed doors, she's beating me up with wet towels so it covers the bruises. I'm telling you.
But
I'd like to point out I'm not a domestic abuse victim. I'd like to just I'm not point that out.
but you're right in that situation. It's a difficult situation. Look, Daz, Chris, before we move to Newcastle, your thoughts on Man United? Obviously, yeah, everyone was kind of seemingly nodding their head with regards to what Dan was saying about Man United. It's hard to disagree with this situation, and actually, some of that you do resonate with regards to what Newcastle United were going through, albeit they're coming from a higher stature going through this difficulty. We had relegations on the back of this, so it wasn't as bad. But, you know, are they getting Europe? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Tough games to come, including us at Old Trafford. What are you thinking, boys?
I'm not going to be fooled again. I was fooled once before by Man United fans. They actually had me feeling sorry for them after they from the rise to the fall, and then I felt a tiny bit sorry for them, and then they started to creep back again, and that was it. I'm not falling for it again. Not you personally, Dan, but for me, in 3 games' time, it will be the first season since the Premier League has existed that Newcastle will finish ahead of Man United. And that was my prediction, my hope for the start of the season, that we finish ahead of Man United. Now, maybe it's not something to be proud of either with the season Man United has had, but we've had our own problems with injuries and not having a big enough squad and so on and so forth. But no, I do look forward to that. And we're on an upward trajectory, and Man United are still step by step heading downwards. That might change with whatever Sir Jim and Dan Ashworth do when he does eventually arrive. But
Daz, I've made no, and I've said this to Pete, and I will look, if that's what it costs to bring him, then pay it. I don't care. We've spent 90 million on Anthony. We've spent 80 million on Maguire, someone who I have praised, but he was never an 80 million player. We spent 50 million on Wan-Bissaka. Okay, with regards to, I don't care if we have to pay it. You bring in someone in who has got a track record of doing the right job. So I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I pay it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, you're one of the few that says that, I guess, Dan. But like what I heard was 2 million that was offered for him, and didn't we not pay 5 million to get him out of Brighton?
One second. Life goals. If you think I sound like I'm from London, mate, you need to change your life goals because you're an idiot. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Come on now. Sorry, Daz.
Sorry, can I just say as well, if you think I'm from Telford...
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Me and Dave are actually in the same room. Hang on, let me just find the camera.
Meet Dan's wife.
Dave's like that with the towel.
I was going to say something about the soap, what I'm like, but I'm not going to go there.
But actually, I want to jump, because we have loads of questions in the chat, but I just wanted to ask this one that I found really interesting. If I can't find it, I'll paraphrase it. But it was basically, there was a mention of Roy Keane, but it was something like, would you take Roy Keane as to come in here? Yeah, question from Craig. Would you take Roy Keane for a season or two just to sort out that toxic dressing room?
Yeah, so with that, Craig, and by the way, the comments to Craig, I think Craig's great, so he knows that. Do you know what? I wouldn't take him as a manager because his time's gone as a manager. We all know that. But if you're asking, if we could somehow incorporate someone like Roy Keane to come in there and try and sort this mess out, then yeah. The problem is, for too long, we've had a coaching staff that have been yes men, and the only time that we've had one that wasn't was Jose, and look who won that battle, Paul Pogba. Do you know what I mean? So you do need people in there who are going to take the ball, the scruff of the neck, whatever. I'm all over the place at the moment. You do need that, but again, where are they? Where are they? This is where I go back to with talking to Goonie before. These great world-class managers, where are they now? They're not out there. You can't just go out there and snap up a world-class manager anymore.
Yeah. All right, interesting. Are there any other questions, or are we gonna let's get some Newcastle United perspective? Come on, we haven't talked about us yet. We're in a position of 6th place. I know, Dan, you've talked about, you think that we'll get 6th place. You think you will get your European football. It has been a fantastic job, and we talked about it on our reaction show to the Burnley game of what Eddie Howe's done. It was only a couple of months ago that we were kind of looking at 10th place. Like, look, Dave, I'll come to you. Did you expect us to be where we are, 6th place? Looking up potentially, there is still mathematical opportunities that we can catch Tottenham. Looking up at that position, did you think that we'd be in that position when you guys walked up to St James's Park?
Not at the moment. We were 3-1 up. I didn't. I think come the final whistle, it's a turning point, isn't it? I mean, like, it's a great thing because at 3-1, Harvey Barnes comes on, does what he does, So I said, let's just read the comments. That's what he does.
She'll hear you.
That's the kind of moment, and that's the kind of game, that's the kind of moment that just kickstarts the season. And it does. I mean, obviously, you've got players back from injury. So Isak, I think, has made a big difference. But it's. Did I see this? Yeah, I probably did. To be fair, I think it was always a case that when players started to return for Newcastle, form was going to turn around, and that proved to be the case.
Dan, you've been adamant that we're that you think we'll get European football. Is it, in your opinion, dead set? The next 3 games: Brighton at home, you guys at Old Trafford, Brentford away. Then they're not the easiest of games, but do you think? Are you convinced now that we're getting European football?
Yeah, look, I think out of the teams that are attacking it, Chelsea have got some tough games. They have. I like I said before, Forest are fighting for everything at the moment. That won't be easy. Brighton, we don't know who are turning up. I kind of feel like the form you guys are in, the players you've now got back. Joe Linton, by the way, what a comeback! You've missed him. And I actually remember the game that he was put in midfield. It was against us, 0-0. Eddie Howe moved him. Do you remember? And he's never looked back since. This guy you signed as a striker for big money. Who knew that he'd end up being so important in the midfield? So I think you've got the right players back, and I just feel like the form as well. Isn't Trippier back this weekend as well?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah. I mean, that's massive as well, experience on the pitch. So yeah. I mean, look, the only way that we're getting European football is if Man City are hit with a sickness bug, 3 hours before the FA Cup final. So I think you guys are more than favourites to do it. More than favourites. And I tell you something as well. We're talking about Pope coming back. I think Dubravka's done all right for you guys in the sticking in there. I remember last season the conversation. Was it not Dubravka?
No, you're right. You're right, Dubravka.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Everything else you said.
Yeah. So I look. I think he's done okay. I think you had Karius as his backup, so it could have been a lot worse. So I think Pope coming back will be massive for you guys. You can't. You guys know as well as I do. You cannot underestimate the importance of having a good, strong goalkeeper.
Well, you're looking for a goalkeeper in the summer.
No, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. We need to sell.
There you go. You don't want round 2. We didn't want round 2 either. We didn't want him back in the first place.
Mate, I watched him at Old Trafford last season against Villa in the cup in one of his games for us, and I was like, oh my god.
His only game for you, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
But no, he's been a stopgap. There's been a lot of bad performances, some decent saves that he's made, but yeah, I think you're right. Nick Pope coming back in is massive. Look, Daz, Chris, just to round off on our chat tonight and obviously Newcastle talk. we've talked about this a lot. Are you convinced now we're getting European football, or is there still a little way to go? Will you feel more comfortable after the game on Saturday, providing we get 3 points?
Chris, you go first here.
Yes, and I do think we're a different animal at St James's Park. We've seen that now for a long time since Eddie Howe came in. Really, how we've made St James's Park a fortress, which is what it should always have been, and it hasn't always been the case. But at St James's Park, I pretty much back us against anybody. I mean, we saw it in the Champions League what we can do. We showed PSG what we can do when they came to St James's Park. So I think we've got to go into the game confident this weekend. I personally will have one eye on Chelsea as well, and Man United. It's not over till it's over, and I know that sounds really cliche, but it is so true. And how many times have we got into games confident and it's not quite panned out for us? I still believe we'll pick up the 3 points against Brighton, but for me, until it's guaranteed, I'll never say never, because I've seen the way things kind of turn out for Newcastle. We're not the luckiest of clubs, so if we were to miss out, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, and I still believe that it is a minor miracle that we're even in the European conversation, given the amount of injuries that we've had. Yes, we've got a good squad, and yes, my mates keep reminding me that I'm being what's the word? I'm basically lying, but I'm not. In that, we have had a lot of injuries, and yes, we have a good 11, but if you keep playing the same 11 week in, week out, you'll start to struggle, and obviously that's what we did, in the early
Chris,
half.
Are you not keeping an eye on Spurs as well, though, mate? Spurs are capitulated, by the way.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, mate.
Who have they got left as well? Haven't they got tough things?
They have Burnley, then they have Man City, Sheffield United.
Okay,
yeah.
I think they'll pick enough up. They'll pick enough up.
That's the problem. Is that I think the maximum we can get now is something like 63, something along those lines, 63, 65 points. They'll be pretty much there, with a couple of wins against Burnley and Sheffield United. They'll be at 66. If ours is maximum 65, they're already ahead of that. If they were to drop points against Burnley, which I think is their next game, that then throws a spanner in the works if we go and beat Brighton.
Burnley's form's not terrible, Pete. Scroll down. What's Burnley? I think Burnley have been decent form, haven't they?
Well, one win, 2 draws. So I mean,
they're fighting, but
yeah, exactly that. They're fighting, but they're not. They're not in super form. They're not in Palace form or even Everton form. Jesus Christ. But Tottenham, you look at Tottenham's form, you look at that, 4 losses on the bounce. Anything's possible. I think we're going to have to expect them to drop points in one of those 2 games and obviously is for us to keep winning, for things to change. Do you think? I know this is a question to Daz, Chris, and obviously Dan, and get your opinions on this as well, and Dave. Do you think it could be wrapped up potentially before we travel to Old Trafford? And are we going to win at Old Trafford? Is the question I've got for you, Daz and Chris.
I'm going to go first here. I'm sorry, no mercy here. I started you, Dave. West Ham, they beat Luton. They get beaten by Man City. They get 3 more points and finish on 52 points. Man United, Arsenal beat them. We beat them. They beat Brighton. They get 3 more points, bring them to 57. Chelsea, I think they could win all their games, and then that takes them to 63 points. I think we win all our games, and that takes us to 65 points. And Spurs, it's just the fixtures they have. They'll get beaten by Man City, but they'll beat Burnley, they'll beat Sheffield United, so they'll just by a point be ahead of us. 66 points.
I'm going to maintain what I've said for the last few weeks, in that for me, we've just got to avoid defeat at Old Trafford. If we go to Old Trafford and get a draw, for me, we'll finish above Man United, because I think we'll probably beat Brighton at home this weekend, fingers crossed. And I think we'll be okay against Brentford as well. I think we'll go and do the business there. So for me, it's just avoiding defeat at Old Trafford. Can we win? Yeah, absolutely. But as long as we don't get beat, that's the attitude I'm going in for the game at Old Trafford.
Is it conceivable, Dan, that there's a chance that Man United don't get a point for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's not outside the realms of possibility. Our last 3 games are Arsenal, you guys, and Brighton. We got a terrible record against Brighton at the moment, a horrendous record, regardless of what form they're in. So it's not completely inconceivable at all. The only thing that I think I'm trying to hang on to is I know that we do potentially have Martinez and Shaw back soon. That's going to change our back four so much, so much. So yeah, look, this is football. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. You know, there's been so many twists and turns in this fight for Europe. You know, Chelsea were long out of it a few weeks ago. United, at one point, it looked like we only needed 3 points and we were going to be okay. So anything can happen. There is still a couple of shocks, I believe, in this race, but I feel like the shocks are not from United and below. I feel like there's shocks from above, and I think someone put that the Spurs have got City next, have they? Is that correct?
Burnley next.
Spurs have Burnley, yeah. Burnley.
Oh, is it okay? It's
Sin City,
informed by the
then
chat.
Sheffield United.
So look, anything can happen, and I wouldn't sweat on Burnley. Again, I echo what I said about Chelsea. Burnley are fighting, so the form that Spurs are in, this isn't a walk in the park for Spurs at all. So there are some twists and turns. There are some twists and turns, mate. No doubt about it. We'll see.
Definitely. Dave, just to finish off, we'll come to you. In your opinion, who are those 2 teams that will finish? You know, put Tottenham aside for a second. Who are those 2 teams that will finish 6th and 7th and ultimately get European football, in your opinion?
I think it'll go Newcastle 6th, Man United 7th. But if you want some consolation, Dan, you know, I enjoyed our season in the Conference League more than I enjoyed either of our seasons in the Europa League. And it wasn't just winning it. It was some of those trips, some of those strange little days out.
Dave, I'm not a United fan that's going to sit here and say we don't want Conference League. You know, United have to have European football, regardless of what it is. So I'm not going to sit here and turn my nose up at all. Is it where we want to be? Definitely not. Is it making the best of what we can do at the moment? Definitely. So I'm not going to sit here and say Conference League gets, you know, same as Pete and Daz and Chris. You know, Pete, you've quite rightly said all season, European football is what you need. You know, it has to happen. So I'm not going to sit here and go, no chance, don't want Conference League. Do I think we deserve it? Definitely not. But yeah, you know, I'm not turning my nose up at it at all.
Interesting. Dan left Chelsea out of that, so it might mean that there's still points potentially on the board for Man United. Hopefully not next Wednesday, but could well be. Look, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, twists and turns could well still happen between now and the final day of the season. Look, loads of people in the chat have got their own opinions on this. We're going to continue this conversation. We may well get another one in potentially before the end of the season. Who knows? But this has been a really, really good chat tonight across all of the clubs in the mix for European football. And let's see how it kind of falls out. And as Jordan 2 for Life has just said in the chat, massive thanks to Dan United at United First, and obviously Big Dave, West Ham Fans TV is at Hammerpod as well. Thank you both for joining us, and of course Goonie from Man Knows Football as well, who joined us for the first part.
Dave, what are we watching tonight, mate? Because we're in the same room. What are we watching? Should we put a rom-com on?
It's Love Actually.
Love Actually, perfect. I need that. Perfect, mate. Perfect.
Well, we better
get the popcorn. I'll pour the wine.
We'll watch Titanic. We can reenact it again like we normally do.
Guys,
spinning plates, lads. Love it. Or towels. I mean,
on that note, we better wrap up the show because they've got a film to watch. Clearly, but massive thanks to everyone in the chat. Your questions were absolutely superb. Apologies if we didn't get to them tonight, but keep them coming again on other shows as we tick towards the summer. That's it, boys. That's it. Let's see how it all turns out at the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just a quick shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to the radiatorshed.com and H2O Bathroom Design Co. And also Manscaped. You've seen the code flying through the bottom of the screen with 20% off and free shipping. So if you're like Dan, who's in urgent need of new cream or anything in the Manscaped range, you know where to go.
They do cream. They do cream.
Oh, they do. Oh, they do loads of stuff. Don't make us whip all the pictures.
I mean, this one says fresh, but I get a bit of a, you know. Oh, what is it? The essentials that do all like the shower gel. Have you ever the mint one when it burns you down below? That
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that.
Yeah.
So I might have to utilize this money off. Oh, here we go.
The crop preserver or the crop soother. I don't know if they do towels though, Dan. That's the only thing.
Don't worry about
ask.
Got plenty of them.
That's all right, Dan. I'll wash my hands in warm water for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Boys,
Use the rose water, Dave. That was a winner last time. The rose water, please.
I realise, boys, we get so much into the conversation. We forgot our little giveaway.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We are so much into the conversation. People, chatters, don't go anywhere. If you have, you may have missed out. Pete Graves, of Sky Sports and friend of the channel, has a fantastic evening tomorrow night. Okay, it is tomorrow at the Time Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle, where you get to meet Jonas Gutierrez and a number of others, including the likes of Percinho and Ryan Taylor. We have two tickets, free tickets available. So good, the balloons are out in force. And there is a simple question for you to answer, okay? And the question is this, okay? We won 8-0 against Sheffield United earlier on this season. But who can tell us who the third goal scorer was in that game? Whoever puts it in the chat first two win those tickets. The first two names. No, it's not Nobby Solano.
Bollocks.
Not Biggie.
Has to be a member.
I'm
not a member, am I?
Sign up. Oh, we got one. Just wait for the second one to come in. We got two. Okay. Michael Palmer, congratulations. You've got one ticket. And we have the next, we have the Golden God. Okay. If you are able to attend that evening, get in touch
tomorrow.
with us. Let us know. We will make sure that you are on the list for that event tomorrow. So you have just won yourself.
Why enter, Michael? Why enter?
Michael doesn't live in England.
Why enter?
Okay, so in that case, who's next up? Who was next in line? Was it the Clon lad? Who's next in line? Michael. Yep. So the Clon lad. So the Golden God and the Clon lad are the two winners for what we've done, Michael. We've gone to the. Oh my God!
For God's sake!
What's going on?
Give me it anyway. Give me it anyway.
This is better than the
Give
show.
me it anyway.
We'll give it you anyway. Get in touch with us. Get in touch with us on socials. The Golden God, Clon lad. Get in touch with us, and we'll sort you out with your tickets. You'll be on the guest list, and we'll get your names down and make sure that you are there for a fantastic night. You get to meet Pete Graves, potentially our fantastic ex-players as well. So make sure you get in touch with us straight after the show. And we'll get your names ready for tomorrow evening. You're in for a cracker. But those that are not there tomorrow evening, you're also in for a cracker. Because we're back tomorrow night. We're back. Daz, take
and it's a big one. We've already said a fully loaded transfer show is back.
This is getting ridiculous now. The Clon lad can't go either.
No. Where do you live, Conrad?
Dave,
Oh, he lives in Ireland. I thought he did.
Dave, we'll cancel date night. We'll go. We'll cancel date night. We'll go.
I was looking forward to that, Nando's.
Dave Bullman is the next in line. I'm looking at the list. Dave Bullman.
I think Dave's in Ireland as well.
Oh my. Foxy, please tell me you live in Newcastle or close to that you can attend.
The question should have been, who lives in Newcastle?
Yes.
No, the question should have been, who's free tomorrow night?
It's not a case that they don't want the ticket; they can't go. This is mad.
Should we ask who can go and who wants them?
Yeah, who wants it?
Yes.
Who else will give it away?
Even Buddy Lisa's not about, guys. What is happening?
The Lakes.
Oh. Anyway, we've got at least one that wants a ticket. Maybe we'll just give both to who was it? The Clon lad.
Michael, wasn't it?
The Clon lad, I think it was.
The
No,
Golden God.
Golden God.
Golden God.
It says,
Oh no, he
give
can't
mine
go.
away.
He can't go. Who was the other one who could go? Who was it?
Oh my God, we could.
I wish this happened for the trust spinning wheel thing.
Yeah. We should have just done the spinning wheel. We'd have got someone. We'd have got someone that could go.
What about Foxy?
Yeah, well, I said if Foxy can do it, let's do it. Give them both to Foxy. Foxy, get in touch with us.
Contact us.
Yeah.
Contact us,
and
Foxy.
if you can go. Contact
Oh
us
my
if you can
God,
go,
2-1 Madrid.
and we will sort it out.
I've just seen that 2-1 Madrid.
Wow, they've
Ooh.
completely turned that round. That's crazy.
Hostel's got both.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest, lads. A world where Eric Dyer's in the Champions League fucking final is not a world I want to live in. So I'm happy that Madrid have turned it around.
Absolutely.
Hosselu has come. It looks like Hosselu's come off the bench. Hang on. When did he come on? Oh no. Yeah, he come off the bench in the 81st minute and he scored 2 goals in 3 minutes.
Back to
Wow.
ex-Newcastle United striker Hosselu signed for $5 million from Stoke City, now scoring 2 in the semi-finals to put them in the final of the Champions League. What a story!
Can he go to see Pete Graves tomorrow?
No, he can't. Oh my God, Foxy, please get in touch with us. If not, it doesn't matter. We'll leave it there. But back onto the show for tomorrow
Cancel the
night.
show, Pete. Right.
You try and do a nice thing.
Only one thing left to say. How'd you like that? Good night, everyone. It's not over yet. We forgot to promote the show, and hopefully Sean Casey isn't going to Pete Graves tomorrow night, but because he's meant to be on with us. So join us tomorrow night at 7:30 as we kick off fully loaded transfer show, and we're back with Sean Casey. That's it this time. Good night, everyone.